Nice and casual one today, Brendan. Nothing big, just New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, man. I'm always up for it. How's it there in the land down under?
The land of plenty. It's pretty quiet this time of the year. I've got lots of places to be and lots of things to see. Having two jobs means you've essentially got two Christmas parties to go to, and and having parents who are employed means you get dragged on to their Christmas parties as well. So I'm talking maybe 4 Christmas parties in December.
Yeah,
So
man. I truly believe Christmas is for people who are rich and have good families. Otherwise, you fucked.
Christmas is a very hard time of the year, man. If you're in retail or if you're in any kind of employability where you have to work during the holiday seasons, it's a nightmare for those people. But yeah, it's also the festive season. We all know this. What I'm about to say, it's where you listen to Sinatra and you listen to Mariah Carey for only once a year.
Once a year.
Anyways, I'm just spitballing here. Let's get this right on the show, man. My name is Llewellyn.
I'm Brendan now, and you are listening to Finding Borders.
Roll intro, season 2, episode 5. Okay, so I said we're talking about New Year's resolutions this time around, Brendan. So I think, yeah, we're at the end of 2021. We're in what's this, COVID +1 now or something, COVID +2. What's one of the many things you'd like to see happen next year, or what do you want to see stop happening on the 31st of December 2021?
Like on a personal level or just in general?
It could be anything. That's the best part of today's episode. It's unscripted. Oh, sorry. They're all unscripted, but this one is like, there's no plan. No one's going to listen to these episodes near the New Year's peak because everyone's too busy going to Christmas parties, as I just said, or they're going off on holidays, or they're just doing whatever it is you do when you're at this time of the year. So we got to keep the show going, and hey, maybe we can get something good out of this today. Plus, we're all about motivation and improvement, and influence. So let's go for it. Anything, man. Name one thing. We can make 20 questions.
Absolutely. Well, okay. Well, for me, next year, finally, most students will be heading back to campus, which we've been very much deprived of these last 2 years, mainly being online learning and such. So from next year forth, we'll all be going back to campus, which is something I look forward to, especially in terms of extracurricular programs and stuff happening. And as you said, we're doing things in terms of improvement, self-improvement. So I definitely think next year is going to be a year which I would like to try more things, more new things. For example, maybe try it for a sports team personally, like maybe the football team or the volleyball team even, something of that line. Just do more things, get more involved, get more credits, be the best you can be. Because, this year, definitely for me, it's been a quite year of growth. And I think if I would have told myself a couple of years back that by this second year university, you'll be winning a national cooking contest, I would have said, "Are you crazy? Like, I can make a grilled cheese sandwich." So yeah, it's been really, really a great year this for me, and I think next year is the start of very big things. And what about you, Llewellyn? What do you hope is happening next year for you? Anything big things coming up? Any big plans?
Well, I'll start at something. I'll scratch the surface with something. Obviously, we can travel now. Well, hopefully we'll be able to travel a little bit more by that point. But what you and I briefly touched base on is we're planning a trip to Japan. So I've created a Google document for everything, and I've like put stuff in there, exchange rates, saving schedules, things to do. I'm watching a playlist you sent me on YouTube. I don't know anything about Japanese culture, apart from like this, the suicide that they do and the kamikazes and everything from World War II. But I don't know a lot about their culture per se. So for me, it's a really huge learning experience as well. I can't speak Japanese personally. I'm not going to try and speak or learn Japanese because it'll be
like a couple of words, I must say.
Yeah, of course, a couple of words.
Like, for example, if they try to rape us and now to scream "Tasukete," which means help. So, big things.
Yeah, exactly. Say "Tasukete." So stuff like that, man, just in case. But yeah, I don't think I'm just gonna go there and wing it. And we'll take the podcast on the road with us. Take a mic, take a camera, and just mess about, man. Go to Osaka and get absolutely lost in the nightlife there, or go to Mount Fuji and just Mount Fuji and just like go all out. Like it's a beautiful spot. They've got, from what you've told me anyways, they got like drifting or something happening in some of those spots. You can like rent race cars and just go around the track. That'd be pretty cool, I reckon. And yeah, just see stuff. Again, I don't know too much about Japan as a whole, apart from it's tiny, but it's still a lot of driving between Tokyo and Hiroshima. Like that is a trip in itself, like 5-6 hours. So that's one thing I'd love to see happen for you and me. If it doesn't happen, because the exchange rate from Australia to South Africa is 1 to 11. So, for me, it's I suppose just a matter of taking my savings of a few months and going on this trip. Whereas for you, it's taking, a year's salary nearly and going on a trip. It's two different comparisons. If it doesn't happen, I'd like to come to South Africa then and maybe bring one of my friends and come visit you, of course, and see family, show him around. Something like that would be on the list for me for next year.
Absolutely. And you're always free to come visit me over here in Cape Town. It's always beautiful here this time of year.
Bet your ass.
And yeah, man, I'm also looking forward to this Japan trip, man. Get our asses, to Fukushima. I think it's Fukushima where the radiation is. It's going to be dope, man. The Japanese Chernobyl. Exactly. I can see this happening. I've always been a big fan of the Stalker series. To have like a Japanese version of that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And hazmat suits are coming back into fashion, so we can like walk around.
Absolutely.
You can grow second heads and stuff. We can loot all the houses that were just left.
People want to use anything there, like stuff you pick up. But one thing I've read about Fukushima, which is quite interesting, is one of the things that are very, very radioactive still is dust. Like, don't touch anything dusty. I've heard the dust is extremely radioactive, especially on the cars and stuff like that. So if you inhale that, you've got a problem.
Wow. No, well, there you go. Just avoid any dust. There you go. Problem
Absolutely.
Simple as that. Well, so what's another thing then that you want to see happen this coming year?
Well, I don't think really we can exactly always plan out, I want this year, this, that year, but I don't really think usually I just wing it, man. It just happens, I think you just have to stay determined, and positive. That's all you can do. Keep it optimistic about everything happening, and the best will come. And definitely, I think next year will always also be a very big year for our podcast. Definitely. I'd like to see a couple of things happening there. And I mean, where do you see ourselves 1 year from now?
1 year from now, if we're talking the podcast, so December 2022,
when we do our annual recap, basically, where do you see us?
I would like to see us with an established audience. So I would like to have, first of all, people listening to us who don't know us personally. Like everyone that's listened to the show so far, I feel have had a connection to us on a personal level, which is awesome. I love the support. I really do. I would like to just branch out to more people. So in saying that, that means we'd have to interview a lot more people. We'd have to branch out our content. We'd have to establish ourselves better on YouTube. We can always, it's on the cards. We can always try TikTok and Pinterest and LinkedIn, go further on Instagram, do collaborations with other channels. And I'd like to see us monetize from this. I'd like to see some sort of sponsorship, or I'd like to see some merchandise at least. Maybe use this as a vehicle for an online store, something in that line, man. Like it's I'm not asking for the sun and the moon and everything in between. I'm just saying, yeah, I'd like to see it go off the launch pad and like into the stratosphere, you know, like so. And even you in South Africa over there, someone who reacts to everything I do and ask, like, where do you want to see the podcast by December next year when we do these quote recaps?
Well, definitely, I'd like to see us branch out more, as you said, to more listeners and to more countries. As I know we have a couple of listeners now in Europe, in North America, obviously Australia and Africa. But definitely think now with our last episode now of Dr. Martha Cohen, we're now branching out into some South American listeners. But I think I'd really like to tap onto the Asian market, man. Now, speaking about Japan and stuff like that, I think definitely if this trip could happen, it'll really help us to engage more with that side of the world as we try to find more borders. So I think definitely for me, it's just about finding a bit more listeners, you know, you can reach out a bit more. That'll be a goal for me.
Well, even you know, if we just go overseas like we want to, and we take cameras with us and some basic recording equipment, we would even enjoy that process. Like it wouldn't even have to be about getting viewers or subscribers or anything. We can just still have something to look back on and say, hey, we did that. But if it does, however, bring some audience with it, then I'm all for it, man. I'd love to engage with the Asian market. As I've just said, I don't know anything about Japanese culture apart from a handful of things which I know from war and stuff. Like that's it. And furthermore, like how about like in your next year with you know, with your studies and with even what about like even relationships and stuff? Does Brendan Nell see himself getting into a serious relationship next year, or you know, becoming an honest man? You know, like do you see that happening for you?
I should hope so. I mean, it's always something every dude aims for every year. I'd love to get into a serious relationship, but of course we cannot rush it. We have to wait for the perfect someone. And in terms of my studies, definitely, I'd really like to get my marks up, you know, as I'm now getting another year finished of university. I still have another 3 years left, so it's still a while for me to go. So yeah, I'd just like to get gradually better at my course, get better at my craft. You know, I'd like to be in like the top 1% of my faculty by next year. I know it's a big ask, as the law faculty obviously is a big faculty. It's very competitive, but I do have a lot of self-belief and confidence. And if I do believe if I can get my work rate up and I can stay dedicated, I can definitely be there. And that's something I shoot for. And you're graduating next year, aren't you?
Next year is my final year, yes. So I'll graduate in 2023, so in March or whatever. That's the actual ceremony. But yeah, I finish my course next year. And
okay. And like after graduation, before you can like apply for a job, is this like a specific type of internship or something you have to do, or do you just apply for a job?
well, I think in an ideal world, you'd want to have some experience before you actually apply. So next year should be the year where I set those things in motion. So I've recently done an Australian citizenship test, and they have approved my citizenship application. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate that. The application got put forth in January this year, and it's only been approved now in December. So mind you, COVID put like 3 months worth of delay on the process. But yeah, these things take time. And once I do my ceremony next year, I'll be a citizen. And that means I can then work for some government departments. And one of the government departments I'd like to work for is the Australian Tax Office, or in South Africa, the South African Revenue Service. So that would be an awesome vehicle for experience. If I wanted to, another thing I'd love to be able to do is actually like expand my horizon beyond Albury. So I'd like to go somewhere like Sydney, once I graduate. So, and the Australian Tax Office has branches all over Australia, including Sydney. So you could always, if I'm still with them by then, transfer to Sydney. So that's one thing. And yeah, I graduate. Also, with becoming an Australian citizen, I can then get a student loan, like a government student loan. It's called a HEX debt. And that'll cover my last year, which I'll have to pay back once I think it's something like $60,000 or $55,000 a year. Once I make that, I only have to pay back what'll be $14,000 compared to if I had my whole course paid for by the Australian government. I'd probably have to pay back somewhere north of $40,000 for my whole course. So having covered only 2 out of 3 years isn't a bad thing, because I can just forget about that money. It's going to come back once I qualify, that's for sure.
That's excellent, man. I mean, anything to make not just the workload easier, but like the financial strain, which university is for most students. And tell me now, despite now wanting to branch out to the big city in Sydney, do you have any post-graduation plans, like maybe like a bash or something? Because I mean, you have to celebrate. You're finishing university. Yeah. What's on the agenda?
Well, one of my friends is doing an apprenticeship for boiler making. That's right, boiler making. So he does, his metalworks. And he finishes his apprenticeship next year as well. So me and him are in a way, we're graduating together, or we're finishing up these courses together. So I have to put this forth to him, but we have to definitely like set up something big. Like we have to, rent a room at a venue and like invite all our friends and, get absolutely plastered, to put it bluntly. We have to kill all those brain cells that have been working overtime. I haven't given it too much thought yet, but that's what's really cool. Like we're finishing at the same time. So if all goes well, that's on the agenda. And then after graduating, man, I don't think I'll continue studying just yet. I think I'll work for a few more years and get experience. But yeah, that's really it for me. How about you? Are you gonna like try and get like an internship, or are you gonna, what's on the map for you?
But like after my studies.
So like even next year, are you gonna like, you're gonna like try and become a paralegal or whatever they're called?
You can try it for that. They actually encourage you to get more stuff like internships and stuff like that, which is definitely something I want to look to. But we have this program called Legal Behemoth, which I definitely would like to go into. It's kind of like this community and university, and like they have like these court competitions basically for law students, and you can do this from your second year. And obviously we couldn't do it this year because we weren't able to access campus all that much. But from next year, it's a great competition because, for example, you have a guy who will be the prosecutor, the other one will act as the respondent, or so forth, the plaintiff. And it's just an excellent competition. This is national, also internationally recognized, which you can have a finals in Vienna, Washington. So
wow.
Like, I definitely don't think to myself, like by next year, I'll be in the US for the final, but that's a goal I have, maybe at the end of my studies, by the end of my 5th year or so, why not? Let's give it a go. If you could even make like the top 100 on the international level, that'll look great on your resume. So that's something I want to definitely delve into. And also it comes along with a lot of experience you can gain from this, because we don't really get trained that much in our studies for court itself. You learn more about the content and stuff like that. which in afterwards, which you get your stuff you called articles as a lawyer, which you do. That's more where you gain your experience, like where they teach you to go to court and stuff like that. So I don't think that's something I definitely want to try.
Oh, that'd be awesome for you. Like, if there's one thing I think I've said over and over and over again, it'd have to be the fact that, yeah, you could go to England, to the UK. So you can, like, you have the option of doing your masters or your honors in the UK, in England, which would be awesome. You know, it's plus the rand pound exchange rate. You know, you get paid in pounds. That wouldn't be a bad thing for you either, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. As I've said many times before, I'd love, because masters is really a thing that I really want to do, and it's something I'd love to do overseas. I mean, we've got so many great programs, you know, like, for example, definitely if I can't go to Europe, maybe like the US, you know, it's a dream for me, like UCLA, you know, that get that Californication. Shout out to Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Very nice, very nice.
I'm just thinking, doesn't Red Hot Chili Peppers have a song, Braden's Death Song or something like that?
I don't know.
Let me Google that. I remember actually seeing something like that once and was like, fuck.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
But we have this thing,
yeah,
which you get emails from the university, which they tell you, for example, there's some international opportunities happening. For example, there was one earlier this year, which you could go to Russia, which I thought was pretty cool.
Okay.
And but obviously, if you can't speak Russian, you can't go, so it didn't really help much.
Really cool about the Red Hot Chili Peppers as well. So I play a little bit of guitar, and while you're looking for that song about yourself, because you're a narcissist like that, there's this one song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Everyone should know anyways. It's called Snow Hey Ho, and then they also have, you know, the one that everyone else knows already as well. It's called Can't Stop, and yeah, basically I've been trying to play those two songs on the guitar, and they're actually very interesting in themselves. And especially with Can't Stop, it's just you know, such a straightforward song, but it's all in the finger movement as well. So, and they write some really good stuff. Like my brother's a big fan of them, and he's seen them live in concert. And yeah, man, like it's just one of those bands. They just do so well with so little. It's insane.
Yeah, man, I'm a bit of a narcissist. Haven't you ever went and searched songs that contain the word Llewellyn to listen to it?
I've thought about that, but Llewellyn's not a common name, and I don't think I'd find a song with Llewellyn as the name title, which doesn't faze me either, because I'd hate to hear, you know, a song over and over again that's got my name in it, because I'm like, someone calling me, or I'm just sick of this song. Or next thing you know, if you go onto your thing on Spotify, where it shows you like your top songs for the year, Llewellyn's like number one on the list. Can you imagine that? But yeah, man, how about you? Have you ever found anything that's like Brendan or anything like your name?
Yeah, man. Except for that Brendan's Death Song, there's not much other things out there.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not quite a good song to have with your name and Brendan's Death Song. The fuck, man? Is this something I want to listen to?
Yeah.
It just reminds me of death. It reminds me about that one episode in The Office with Michael Scott. And he does that stress relief. It was a 2-part episode. And he gets relaxing music for Stanley, which is heart problems. He got a heart attack. He says, I got some relaxing music. This really reminds me of death. I like it.
Whoa, that's dark. I like the episode not the episode, the actual starter in The Office, where they're doing CPR and mouth to mouth and all that stuff. And
that's the same episode I'm talking about.
Well, there you go. I actually liked how Dwight just out of nowhere, he goes, "Oh, it's dead. We have to harvest the organs." And he pulls a knife from his calf, like on a belt. That was so random. And he starts cutting it. Another one I liked.
And he went all through our Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
He cut off the face of the dummy.
That was uncalled for. And with the other intro that they had, Dwight Schrute did a fire escape sort of thing, like a fire drill. And he messed with everyone and they were freaking out because no one knew what to do because there was a fire drill. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
no
He
one paid
hits up like the handles on the doors and stuff like that.
Can I just say, Brendan, I looked at this yesterday in my memories. We, on the 22nd of September this year in here in Australia, or at least, on the eastern side of Australia, so the southeast, where Melbourne is roughly, we had a minor earthquake. So we had an actual earthquake. So I was at work. It's like my fourth or fifth week at my new job. And we're sitting down, working as you do. And all of a sudden, it's like the scene out of Jurassic Park. The glass of water starts shaking. Like, we're sitting there and things are shaking. And one of them goes, "Is that an earthquake?" And they go, "Oh my God, it's an earthquake." And no one knew what to do. Like, I was calm. I was like, if everyone's freaking out, something's going to happen. We just stay calm. But no one stayed calm. Do we run? Do we go? What do we do? One guy said, "Get under your desk," which I didn't think of, but I agreed with him. Like, yeah, in case something falls through the ceiling. So we did that for like 10 seconds. And then we just after that got up. One of them said, "Are we just going to go?" "Yeah, let's just go. And we all just, well, I didn't run out the door, but everyone was running for the door or speed walking. This one lady was in a brace with her leg. She broke her ankle. So I walked behind her saying, "It's okay," patting her on the back. You're good. Just keep going. It'll be fine." And then long story short, after that, they asked me to be first aid officer. So I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Next Dwight.
Yeah,
I can imagine it was a very unreal experience for you, especially also as a fellow South African. Like, natural disasters is not really a thing we have here. Like, it's very rare to come across something like an earthquake or tornado. It's not something we really have. I'm really happy you didn't act like Michael Scott in that fire episode. It's like, "Everybody stay calm! Everybody stay fucking calm!" And just run up at everyone and you throw the projector through the window.
No, I don't know. I just get a knife out and start stabbing people. We have to cut weight. No, so
That's it.
and yeah, like, more so, I was just disappointed of how the whole thing was handled. But yeah, in South Africa, we don't have that stuff. I've seen some videos recently where in my mom's hometown, or where she's currently staying in South Africa, in a town called George, they've had floods there, like to the kneecap sort of depth of floods of rain. And that's about it for us. I think 7 years ago, you and I were year 9. We had like a mini earthquake in our town, or in some parts of South Africa, but that's because a mine ditch collapsed, or some mining equipment actually collapsed. So like a shaft closed up, but that wasn't the natural cause. That was just man-made. So yeah, man, I think my resolution for next year is definitely dodge earthquakes. Like, be more prepared.
Dodge earthquakes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dodge it like Neo. With the new Matrix movie coming out as now as well.
It's like I'm dodging my my student loan repayments. Sorry,
I'm really happy because my student loan from this year, I got confirmation that for this year, they're making it into a bursary. So I don't have to pay back anything this year they've paid, which makes me very happy because that's over like 90,000 Rand. I don't know how much that is in, well, dollars, but it is a quite a chunky thing there to pay. So I'm very happy for that. However, I do believe from next year, I'll actually do have to pay.
So you'd have to pay, how much would you have to pay back by the end of your course if you exclude this year's bursary?
Well, no, actually, basically, I'm not exactly certain because every year it goes up. Because purely this is how they come up with tuition fees. Certain modules cost a certain price. For example, one module would be 3,000 Rand for a semester, which another module would be 6,000 and so forth, so forth. It could be depending on the module. Now, obviously, if you're studying something like medicine or chemistry or biology and you're using equipment, it's far more expensive, the module. So that's how they allocate how much they're going to charge you for your tuition fees. But for me, it works like this. After my studies, I do have the they continue making it a bursary. But if I do have to pay, you have to stay within the country. Like after graduation, you cannot move, and like after you make, I think it's a minimum of 30,000 or something like that a month, then you should start paying back. So it's actually not that bad. They give you some leeway there, but yeah, they have to pay it back monthly. It's a government thing.
Still, 30,000 rand. That's a basic starter salary. So they're making you pretty much from the, like, to make $60,000 a year in Australia. It's not a benchmark of any sort, but you would have a degree of qualification to achieve that.
Yeah, I can imagine now. Obviously, you have to pay tax as well, and that's how they bleed you dry, man. Starting very early in your career, so you get dropped right in there into the pit of what's the thing I'm quoting? The pit of lions? It's not pit of dragons. But yeah, man, I'm definitely not looking forward to that. But hopefully they continue the way on the merit they did this year. Just continue making it a bursary, and it'll just be simpler, for most students, because so many people are on this fund and they need this fund. So, which is really nice of them. But yeah, we'll continue next year. And obviously, if you can keep your marks high, because now it's not as easy to get it from next year, because you have to have a minimum of 75%, I think, for you to keep it. So this year it was 50%. So if you fall underneath that, it's going to be very difficult. And specifically in the faculty where I am, where about 50% of the students don't make it. They fall out or they switch courses. I remember actually there was one last assignment I did, and I think only 45% of the class passed that assignment. So like I got like 60% or something, and I was very sad. And I thought to myself, it's not something to be sad about. It's like you're part of the 45% that actually made it. And therefore, it's becoming more and more difficult, to hit that 75 mark. But obviously, from next year, you're forced to do it. Also, a lot of the examinations and stuff like that this year has been online. It's not as much being written on campus. So from next year, you're going to campus. And I'm telling you, like, I went there quickly at the end of the year to see how the examination halls and stuff like that looks. And there's like separate rooms with like lecturers in, with like computer screens, and there's like cameras that like zoom in on certain tests. It kind of looks like a VAR panel in football. Yeah. It's like, dude, like this is bad, man. And you think to yourself, you can never cheat or do anything like that. So it's going to be very difficult. And as many other students have told me, like if you go to that examination hall, which is called XR, they leave with war stories. You leave with tears. It's just like that.
Yeah. They're watching you. They're constantly. It's literally like Squid Games, man. Like you get it wrong and headshot.
Fail.
And then they can harvest your organs when they're done.
Absolutely. Because you still have to pay for that tuition fee. So that's how they harvest your organs.
Yeah. You're not. There's no prize money at the end. You just lose your life.
This is the craziest thing. Now we're on the topic. There was this one, not clause or something, but from the university that says, if you die, you still have to pay a certain sum, your family, your tuition fees. So even if you're dead, you're still technically paying. Isn't that crazy?
If you're dead, you're in debt. Like that is poetry and narcissism, and that is absolutely horrible.
All happening simultaneously.
And then your family has to pay for your funeral, and like everyone just loses.
Yeah, man. Then I have to harvest my organs to make enough money to finish paying for my studies. It's just crazy, the dynamic of it.
And if you die, could you please not die around the time the new iPhone gets released? Because then they only have one kidney left to sell, and it's either you or the iPhone.
Absolutely.
But I feel weird about that too. Like I am going back on campus next year. Well, that's the plan. We South Africans worked really hard to release this new update on the coronavirus called the Omicron. Like we were grinding nonstop to make this variant. And now they're telling us it's not as contagious, go figure. So we're back next year, and I feel weird about it because I've only ever done online as well, like you, and all my exams have been online, and the study in itself has been so flexible. Now it seems there's going to be a program, as there was intended from the beginning, where you go to campus and sit seminars and study and interact with people. Fun, I know. So like,
yeah, man, as an introvert interacting with people, man, it's already a big task you're asking of me. But like for me, example, I went 3 months, I think even was that much last year, which actually went to classes, to seminars before we switched to online. So I'm now a third year going next year, but I still basically going to feel like a first year because a lot of it's still going to be pretty new to me. And that's just crazy to think that you're 3 years in university and you're basically still a freshman.
Pretty much. And but that's what's so cool about it too, in a way, is because everyone who was, you know, at the end of their course or at the top of the food chain in their whatever degree, they would have graduated by now. So for you to be someone who's been going to university for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, but you've only been on campus for 1 year, you're still way ahead of someone who's just started university, someone who's just sat. If anything, the social interactions might actually go a lot smoother. There might be more engagement in events at school, if your extracurricular activities and your sports and clubs and stuff that's happening. You might see more groups form. You might see better relationships with lecturer and students. Like, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be a matter of psychology. I think for those psychology students, they'd be winning now.
Oh, absolutely. I even find myself when I went back to campus, was now a month or so ago, I'm still not quite as familiar with all the surroundings. Like, I still don't know where half of the buildings are, what they're called. So to be going, I don't really regard myself as a senior. So I can only imagine next year when you meet a freshman, ask you, hey, where's this? And you're like, I have no fucking idea. But if you tell me, let me know.
Yeah, I'll try and find it for you. Whereas,
thank you.
In my town here in Albury, Wodonga, like the school, there's only 2 universities in our 2 towns. So like the schools tried getting you onto those campuses as much as possible. They had seminars, they had events, they had everything. And so I was quite familiar with with one of the campuses, my current university's campus, before I even went there, because it's not that big for one, and two, I've been there numerous times. I remember we once had to, when I was like year 11, we had to go to a business seminar there at the university, and it was like a group project, and we had to go and pretty much give a pitch for a product, and our product to pitch was a pen. So we had to sell a pen that was for charity.
Sell me this pen.
Yeah, like Jordan Belfort, man. Bumps a line of cocaine. So write something down for me. Oh, I don't have a pen. Well, there you go. Now you have a pen. Case closed, Your Honor. No.
What would your lecturer do if he hands you the pen? You're like, oh, wait, let me just bump a line quickly. Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Action. No. So we had to sell a pen, and it was crazy. Like, the people who presented the event, one of them was a blind man, but I didn't know he was blind until he said he was blind. He stood in front of everyone. He kept his posture straight. He wasn't wearing glasses or anything. He just wasn't looking around much, because, blind people tend to do that because they don't know what they're looking at. Fair enough. He was calm and collective. Every time he was walking around, he had someone at his arm. It was very, very subtle. And then when he got in front of everyone, he said, somewhere in between his pitch, I'm blind. I was like, whoa, that makes so much sense now. Because your demeanor and the way you're acting, but he was clever. He had a charity business going. Anyways, I gave, not to pat myself on the back, I think I gave the best speech that day. I gave the best pitch that day for the pen. I got up there, I did the whole Steve Jobs turtleneck, jeans, everything. I was trying to sell this idea to people, and I was proud of it. I was really, really proud of it. And I think our marketing department, because we had to make an ad for it as well, I think our ad let us down, or our marketing department let us down. How dare they? Have they never seen an episode of Mad Men? You just don't let the team down. No, but I think that's where we lost out, because the judges seemed to be, they were positive about everyone's, but they seemed to be really positive about the winning team's ad. So I was messed up about that for a while. It's like, oh, we should have got it. We should have got it. Months and months later, we should have got it. It didn't really matter, but I took it personally. So that's what happened. And I knew about my campus long before I even went there to study.
That's really cool. Really sounds like your course is very interesting as well. It sounds like one big episode of Shark Tank, you know. You just got to pitch their business idea. But backtracking a bit, you know, to the blind students, as I find it's actually quite a bit of disabled students as well on my campus, but definitely one of the very smart, you know. And also we have the service, which, for example, we have a lot of deaf students in the law degree, which I've seen, and they have like special helpers for them in the university, which they come and they stand across from them. They sit in a different section in the lecture hall, and they'll do the entire lecture in sign language. Yeah. So it's very engaging. So if you have a problem, there's like a line you can call. For example, one time I was waiting for my new glasses because mine broke and it was taking a week or two. And I messaged them, I have trouble seeing on the board. Can you come assist me?
Oh, way to go, man. Way to take advantage of the system. But that's fine. That's fine because just the other day, me and a friend of mine, we went to I drove to my friend. He's in the army. And anyways, we went to this one South Korean restaurant. It was Cade, it was Cade in Wagga. And we went to the South Korean restaurant and they were so kind. They catered for my disability. I'm so thankful for them for catering. When I made the reservation online, I said that I am disabled. And it asked me what my disability is, or can I give specifications? And I said, I'm colorblind. So they really catered well with my colorblindness. They didn't make the menu difficult colors for me to see. It's only red, green, colorblind, no big deal. But like, you know, I'd go back 9 times out of 10. And the 10 times is because I probably can't find it because I'm colorblind.
You're really colorblind.
I'm red, green, colorblind. I don't think I ever told you that because I only found out 2 years ago.
Say when I did an eye test 2 years ago, it was nothing too drastic, but I was just in denial. Like the optometrist was like, because they give you like these cards, and like either red or green, and there's like numbers in there. You should spot the number. And he's like, and they're like, oh, you have a bit of problem seeing green and red. I'm like, no, I'm not. I can see red and green. Okay, don't lie to me. But it's nothing too drastic. My glasses help a bit for it, actually.
So you've got the same thing as me. It seems like you can see the colors on but you can still see the colors, like at the traffic lights, the red and the green.
Absolutely.
Those bright shades of red and green you can make out.
Yeah, I can spot a Portuguese flag. It's not a problem. I can see red and green.
Yeah. But once it gets to certain shades, I guess, but that's interesting because you're more artistic than me. So you work with colors more than I do. And that would have been very interesting, actually, to have seen. But yeah, like, what is there anything else you want to put on your New Year's resolution, man? Like, do you want to get a driver's license? Do you want to get do you want to be, I don't know, do you want to like be wealthier? Do you want to go and travel some more in South Africa, own a beach house, you know, party up, Max Payne? Like, what do you want to do?
I think definitely for starters is getting a driver's license. I find myself that's something I'm very quite behind with in life. Turning 23 in January and I don't have a license yet.
Another month to go, baby.
Absolutely hypocritical to think of. Another month to go. It's crazy to think to myself that, as we were discussing, you know, in the week earlier, is that we're talking about primary school and you think to yourself, like, what, 7th grade, what next is 10 years ago? That is mental for me to think about, you know. 23, you're still very much a young man, but to fathom the fact that you're turning 23, dude, I was 13 just the other day. How on earth does time fly like this? Definitely I think by next year I'd like to be a bit more appreciative, you know, of my time and things that happen to me, because, you know, you're not going to be young forever, you know. And we're talking now, I'm 23, you know, maybe sometime in not so distant future, you're going to blink once or twice and you're 33. You're like, wow, how does this happen? So you really have to appreciate your youth while you can. I definitely think that's something I really want to do next year. It's not just on a professional level of doing more in terms of my studies and, you know, being more active and stuff like that, but definitely just enjoy my youth, you know, like you say. Sometimes you just got to get battered, man.
Yeah, they stopped making songs for people after like 23, I think. So like, enjoy them while you can.
That's good. That's also a thing for me. If you look at now, for example, successful people now, you go and you listen to, for example, a new musician you like very much. You're like, oh, this is banging. You think, oh, but this musician is 16. You think to yourself, holy shit, I'm 23. What am I doing with my life? Or you watch sports. You see this, this new talented football player, for example, and you think they just turned 18. He's like, he's already playing in Europe. What am I doing? Which I find you shouldn't compare yourself to others. So I definitely think also this year, I have to come to the conclusion that I'm not in competition with anyone because I find myself being a very competitive person. I love competing in things. I always think I'm competing against other people, but the fact of the matter is that your only real competition is you. You just have to be better than the person you were yesterday. And I think from that, you can find a lot more happiness and you can be a lot more content with yourself. So I definitely think that's a big thing for me. Find a bit more happiness. It's not weird we all want, but more sunshine in our lives.
Yeah, it's a good note too, because if you're 1% better each day and you compound that percentage, you'll be 365% better by the end of the year, or in a year's time. So
absolutely
look at it. Man, yeah, I think for me, something I really want to do next year that's quite big for me is we're talking about student loans. I want to pay off. I'm going to pay off my student loan next year. It's going to happen regardless. I've lent an amount of money to pay for my second semester this year, and it's just one of those things. You look at it, you go, I know what this is for, but it's money I could have put to better use. It's good debt. It's going to look really good when you want to go for a loan, but at the same time, it's also just it's a burden at the moment. So I'd love to pay that off and just be wealthier, not richer, not to have more things, but to actually, when I say wealthier, like to just use my money to my advantage or make my money work for me. Make money while you sleep, that kind of stuff, man.
Maybe do a side hustle or so.
Well, yeah, do a side hustle, continue with this and see where it goes. Like I said, monetizing from it. But yeah, that's definitely one thing I'm dying to get off my plate is just pay off the debt, man. And then after that, yeah, who knows what's on the cards? We got the next big thing coming up. We were talking about love. Lord knows if that's going to happen, man. You need a heart for that. We just because you and I rock doesn't mean we're made of stone, man. Like, we got feelings too, bro.
That's true.
I heard that
on my friend
Irene. Jim Carrey said it.
I love old Jim Carrey. I remember that one Golden Globes, which he came up to the stage. He says, "Hi, I'm Jim Carrey." What just happened? Oh, there you are. I'm Jim Carrey. I'm a two-time Golden Globe winning Jim Carrey. And when I go to bed at night, I dream of being three-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey. So I think that's the thing, Just keep going at it, Just keep winning and just keep doing your best. You can always be better. That's the thing I live by. And I definitely think next year, not just for me, but I think for the both of us, we really want to better ourselves.
Well, yeah, we're two young, driven, healthy, smart
thugs.
Men. Yeah, thugs. We're young thugs. Like, we would be out of our minds not to at least be a little better next year than we are this year. It's as simple as that, man. Like, we're happy where we are, but we're not comfortable. We've got good friends and good people in our lives, but none of them are holding us back. If anything, we're taking them up with us, or we're trying to match their levels. I think, yes, mind you, we have our vices, we have our flaws, as you all do. But I'd love to see where we're at next year, this exact time. If history is an unreliable benchmark for future performance, then, and if you consider where you've been the year before and the year before that compared to this year, I don't know. I'd like to think that's not true. We can be a lot better off next year given past experience.
Absolutely, my friend. And I definitely think also a lot of good came from this year, not only the starting of the podcast, but I mean, we've really actually reconnected this year properly. We've always talked here here and there, sometimes maybe once a month, once every 3 months. But now I feel I've gotten closer. I definitely think this year is a time to bring old friends a bit closer, because I think a lot of times, time goes on, we branch out, do our own different things, and
As
I
you
think
do.
it'd be a bit more connected. I believe if a person in your life in the past has been such a big part of your life, it just doesn't logically make sense to just let them wither away the relationship you had with them. So definitely, I think keep your friends close and
Oh
your
yeah,
enemies closer.
the enemy's a lot closer, man. But yeah, like I'm happy with. I'm surprised that things went the way that they did. Like we didn't talk much at all. I thought, okay, Brendan's off doing his thing, I'm off doing my thing. It's life. That's just how it works. And I think I was driving to Sydney one night and there's a long road ahead. It was like, yeah, let me try and stay awake. So I phoned you and I just got us back into contact, and I'm not looking back. It's been good, and we've done this together, and I'm not looking back. Still, we have a reason to talk every second or third day now, and we're literally miles apart, oceans and worlds apart from each other. So that's what I think we're trying to do with the podcast as well. We are trying to have this sort of close connection with people all over the world, influential, smart, driven, successful people all over the world. It's as simple as just saying, hey, let's make a time and let's set a meeting. Here's the link. Let's do it now.
Let's do it, my friend. And I think on that notion, we will conclude today's episode. It has been absolutely wonderful talking to you again, my friend. And again, as we always say, big things coming this year.
Big things coming, man. And I'll probably see you guys in 2022. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it.
All right, man. Cheers for now.